Is Robert Thomas a top 12 center in the NHL?
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I'm your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon. Dylan is joining me today, and we have a lot to talk about as we're going to discuss if Robert Thomas is a top 12 center. We're going to talk about the offseason and, of course, the Olympics and all the exciting things that are going to take place. But we're also going to preview the regular season ahead. So we have a lot to get into on today's episode of Locked On Blues. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Dylan, welcome back to LOB. I told all of the listeners the other day that you would be joining as you were a fan favorite guest. And speaking of fan favorites, our fan favorite, Robert Thomas, was listed as a top 12 center on NHL.com. So I need to ask you off the bat, do you agree with that ranking?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at the list right now, and a lot of the guys that are ahead of him play with really skilled players. Could you imagine Thomas playing with like a Connor McDavid or, some of the talent that Florida has? And the Blues, now you look at the Blues and their top six is all starting to look pretty good around the NHL. I think he's going to turn some heads this year. I've been telling you for a while, like 100 points for Thomas, at least close to it. He was over a point per game last year. Unfortunately, he missed like a month or something like that.
Yeah, like 4 weeks only.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the list now, and it's like, Nick Suzuki, Austin Matthews, Braden Point, Mark Scheifele. Yeah, Matthews is a better scorer, probably an all-around better asset to have, but I don't know, 12. He's definitely top 12. That's not even a question if you ask me. I would say he's probably climbing the list this season.
Now, you might say that this is an insane take, but I'm looking at number 5, and I'm looking at Sidney Crosby, and I am completely aware more than anyone of what he's accomplished in his career, and I'm aware of that. But if we're looking at top centers right now currently, I don't know if I would say he's number 5, and I'm not saying that it should be Robert Thomas. That's not what I'm saying. I just feel like he's only where he is because of his past and what he's done. And I'm not going to deny that he's not a good player. He's a very good player. But to me, the list seemed a little bit fagoozy, right? Like a little bit. I don't know if this is truly based on what we've seen the past season. You know what I mean? It just seems to me like they care more about the overall history of a player rather than what they can do this upcoming season.
Yeah, we're looking at 30. I don't want to get anyone mad here. What is Crosby? He's at least 35, if not
Yeah,
older than
I
that.
believe he's about that.
So, we're looking at an older player. We're looking at someone who's done a lot, and he's obviously very committed to the NHL. But yeah, as far as this upcoming season, I'm just saying, like when Thomas gets a chance to play with more skill in the top six, he's definitely going to be. It's just no question, he's going to be great.
And Alexander Barkov, a two-time Stanley Cup champion now, who honestly has been playing amazing hockey. You look at him last season, 71 points, 20 goals, 51 assists in the regular season, and they have him at 4. Meanwhile, at number 1, obviously, they have McDavid, and I'm not denying that McDavid doesn't deserve to be at number 1. But then you would think, well, if this player who is a back-to-back Cup champion, maybe you would list him a little bit higher instead of Nathan MacKinnon at 2 or even Leon Draisaitl at 3. So when I see the bias in this list, I actually applaud them for putting Robert Thomas where they did, because we've seen the national media so many times disregard Blues players, especially Robert Thomas, who has been one of the most consistent players on the Blues. And for me personally, I look at the top 10 and I just can't help but think to myself how biased it looks.
Yeah. The one huge thing I want to point out is the cliff that kind of everyone falls off of after Thomas is listed on this list. I feel like, I mean, there's no chance I'm taking Mark Scheifele over Thomas, like at all. You look at the skill, I almost guarantee you Thomas has a better season this year, especially with Braden Point out of Winnipeg. Or not Braden Point, sorry, Ehlers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Ehlers out of Winnipeg. Um, I don't know. I just think you hit the nail on the head. Like, people don't watch the Blues, especially the last few years. You go back to 19, and people are finding out about Blues players that were good all year in June during the Stanley Cup Finals, right?
Yep.
And it's probably going to be like that for a long time until people start to respect the smaller markets, which that's kind of our MO here. Whenever we hop on and talk, respect the small market STL Blues. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I really firmly believe I don't really have much to say on this topic other than watch this season, watch how this guy plays. He's going to make Team Canada, almost guarantee it. Um, he's poised for just an insane year. 110 points wouldn't surprise me at all. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, and I think with all these lists, it's very interesting to me because I was actually watching a little bit of the NHL network around like 4 a.m. a little bit. And this came up, and I'm like, well, obviously no one's going to be awake, so I can't, tweet this out. But I really do think that more and more people are going to have their eyes on the Blues. I think St. Louis, and you can call me crazy, I don't think you will because I think we're kind of always on the same page at least. I think that this could be a cup contending team. I think the talent that they have offensively between the pipes. And you know what? If Logan Mayu works out, then they might have more talent on defense than we thought. And this is a team, by the way, that took the Winnipeg Jets to a game 7, double overtime. This team has so much talent, Dill. And I don't understand how you can look at the Blues and right now you have Robert Thomas, Colton Parayko, and Jordan Binnington all going to Team Canada's Olympic orientation camp. But yet, people say Binnington isn't a good goalie. The Blues, they're not going to be a contending team. They have 3
Uh,
players going to the Olympics for Canada, most likely. They have Texier for France, and the list goes on and on. But the point is that when I see these lists, they should be putting Blues players on them. Like, I don't get why they wouldn't.
I know. Yeah, I mean, going to the Bennington comment, like if you are telling me that Bennington isn't a good goalie, you're a straight up hater right now. Like
Yep.
this guy, how many years have we watched this guy make insane saves? He had no business making them, keeping the team in games. Like we know what the defensive situation has been like over the past few seasons. Like if you're telling me that he's in the Four Nations, he had a Matthews 1-on-1 in overtime in the gold medal game, the best scorer in the NHL over the past 5 years, and Binnington is up to the task there. I mean, you cannot tell me that Binnington isn't a good goalie. Like, okay, I'll accept that there may be players that are overall goalies that are overall have had better seasons. But if you need a goalie to be on your team to be a cup contender, Binnington is absolutely in that category. No question about it. Now, I wanted to ask you,
Yeah,
are you familiar with Jay Fresh Hockey on Twitter? Have you
I
seen him at
am.
all?
I have seen the tweets.
He tweeted something today. Apparently they're just FanDuel over-unders, which I have not looked at the over-under win totals, but it had the Blues under Utah in third last place in the Central with
Yep.
92 points. And I'm as soon as we get off this podcast, gonna go and look at that. And if their over under is 91 and a half, I'm gonna withdraw every dollar I own and I think put it on that win total there because I mean, barring an absolute disaster, there is a 0% chance they don't do better than they did last year.
It's ridiculous. And really fast on the Binnington comment, he had a 900 save percentage last season. And that's good. I mean, the season prior was 913, so I know it wasn't as good, but it's still good when you have the defense that you had. And Dill, you know what? You brought up such a good point that I'm going to actually do a little transition to our next topic about kind of looking at the Central and how the Blues are going to end up placing. But before I do that, you actually mentioned FanDuel, which you definitely read my mind because I have a FanDuel read, which is a little ironic. But I'm going to talk to you about my friends at FanDuel, and then Dylan and I, we're going to dive into how the Blues are going to end up doing this season. The NFL season is almost here and we don't have a team. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Personally, I love FanDuel so much because it's so easy to use and navigate. And hey, listen, I'm a hater of the Dallas Cowboys, and now that Micah Parsons has been traded to the Packers, I'm just saying, maybe Green Bay will surprise everyone this year. They're already a good team, so put your money on that. If not the Eagles, obviously. So this is what I need you to do. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. That was some crazy news today. But again, we don't have a football team, so I'm kind of like, whatever,
On that topic, real quick, I'll make it brief. You might as well just get ready for the NFC Championship now between the Eagles and Packers, I think.
Go Birds. We make that fast. And listen, I have an Eagles tattoo. I can't hide that. But anyways, you know what? I also can't hide my pride when it comes to being a Blues fan in a city that Blues fans are not in. So, anyways, the Blues had a good season last year. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst. It was a good season. They got what they needed to get done, which was to make it to the playoffs. However, we need to look at the Central right now because, in my opinion, I think the Blues are going to be a wild card one team. I think that you still have a lot of talent within Colorado, Dallas. However, I think the Minnesota Wild might take the third seed and the Winnipeg Jets either are going to be a wild card team or they're not going to be in the playoffs. And I know that's crazy. That's my hot take. We all need one hot take before the season begins. But realistically, if not, I could see the same seeding as last year where the Wild and Blues are wild card teams and you had the same seeding. So, Dylan, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that Utah could surprise everyone, or do you think that that's just baloney that we're kind of
I think my thoughts are we should petition to play in the Pacific Conference this year,
I wish.
Pacific Division. No, I mean, listen, we've talked about this already. I think the last two times I've come on, Colorado is a wagon. They're going to be good this year. Dallas is going to be good. Again, you're always one injury away. I mean, Dallas is a very complete team. But again, they don't have a McKinnon. They don't have a McDavid. I would go as far as to say they don't really have a insanely high touted superstar. Other than their goalie. Their goalie is an absolute freak. I
Oh,
will say that.
Ottinger is
Yeah, that guy.
phenomenal.
Yeah, he's
Phenomenal.
insane. He's
That's a good
insanely good.
goalie.
That is a good, and that's
And
a
it
U.S.
frustrates.
born.
Yeah.
That's a U.S. born guy. We can agree on that.
Better than Connor Hellebuck.
I will. Well, they're both U.S. born, but I will say I agree with that
Better
take.
than Connor Hellebuck.
I will.
Wait. Make Jake Ottinger the starting goalie for Team USA.
Yeah, and speaking of, I'm gonna go off topic again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. This is just like a conversation that we're having about the Blues. We can talk about whatever with the Blues.
So, like, when did the United States come out of nowhere and now they have like a roster that actually competes with Canada in international events? It's kind of wild.
No, it is because like I've been so used to just watching Canada dominate and US not even having a chance. And now it seems like this is going to be in the finals, Canada and the US.
I mean, and it's just insane to even say this out loud that a United States team competes when you think about McKinnon, Crosby, McDavid. I mean, those three guys alone, that is outrageous.
Powerhouse.
And then you like a guy like Robert Thomas hasn't even played on Team Canada yet since U18. So it's like how that's the kind of skill you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, just going back to the Central Division, I know that you're firm on the wild card one. I personally don't see Winnipeg like they have to. The vibes are just not there for me with that team. Like they were so good last year. I don't even know how many games they lost, less than 20 games or whatever it was, last season.
Yeah, it was insane.
And they lose in the second round. And to be honest with you, the Blues had no business being in a game 7 with the Jets. I stand by that. They did not play good on the road. Winnipeg was a better team. There's no way that series goes to 7 games if Hellebuck
Plus all
doesn't
the
play.
injuries that Winnipeg had.
injuries, and part of those injuries were because of the way the Blues play on the playoffs, which there's nothing better than playoff hockey. You got guys
Great.
just running over people. Like Braden Shen, man, something about that guy in the playoffs just gets me going. And Bolduc, rest in peace, Zach. Not actually, but he was
I'm so
insane in
sad
that
about it
series.
still. Someone
Like,
commented on my video the other day really fast and said, "Hale, you've looked so defeated since the trade," and I am. You know how much I liked Zach Bolduc. It sucks when you see like one of your favorite prospects and then he comes up and then he's gone. Because I watch a lot of
yeah,
Thunderbirds hockey, and I think I've been to more T-Birds games than Blues games. So I watched just
sure.
I'm a big AHL person, and it was crushing. But okay, that's my rant.
And then Neighbors in that series was awesome to me, even though he could have done a little bit more offensively, if you ask me. He was awesome in that series. He was all over the
Yeah.
ice hitting people. So part of Winnipeg, like you can't tell me that they don't lose to Dallas in 6 if they play. Let's say the Blues missed the playoffs, and I don't even remember who the other team was, but if they play someone easier in the first round that maybe doesn't come off a 19-point streak, 19-game point
Well,
streak.
here's the thing, the Wild took on the Golden Knights, and I was so contemplating on where I wanted the Blues to end up because either you're playing the President Trophy winning team with the Winnipeg Jets or you're playing the Golden Knights. I felt like the Blues had a more possibility to beat the Jets than they did the Golden Knights because I feel like the Golden Knights are just a bunch of cheaters. And I like Mark Stone as like a player separate from the Golden Knights if I separate him from the Golden Knights because I like the type
I,
of player he is. If he was on the Blues, we would embrace him. We would love
that's
we would love him.
I can't disagree with that, but I'm not a Mark Stone fan. But continue.
Well, I call him LTIR for short, but that's
That's
another.
their whole organization in a
Yeah,
nutshell. But
exactly.
anyway,
But it was just such a tough position for the Blues to be in because let's go say the Blues advanced, right? And they took on Dallas. They wouldn't have won. But
no.
at the same time, I feel like knocking off the President Trophy winning team would have maybe fueled the guys for this upcoming season because I know that they all say, have a quick memory, let it go. But that was one of the most gut-wrenching losses I think I've watched in a long time.
And I'll go back to something I've said on here before. If the Blues were a little bit better, maybe if Holloway's in the lineup, they should have had 7 goals in the first 2 periods of that game. Like I
Yeah.
will stand by that. The Jets were soulless in the first 40 minutes of that game. They were soulless. They weren't there. They didn't look like they wanted to win, and the Blues did not put them away early enough.
Oh, by the way, it was Dallas and Colorado, and then Dallas
Yes.
advanced. So
Yes.
so it would have been like a lose-lose situation for the Blues.
Crazy first round series. I remember watching that
That was
first
one of
round
the
series.
best first rounds. I mean, if
Yeah.
I just wanna refresh everyone so they kind of know what we're talking about. But it was Winnipeg, St. Louis, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas Golden Knights, Minnesota, LA Kings, Edmonton again, Toronto, Ottawa, Tampa Bay Lightning, Panthers, Washington, Montreal, Carolina, New Jersey. Like, that's an insane first round,
Yeah, and
especially in the West.
we got to see the Mikko Rantanen heater, the
Yeah.
revenge against the Avs, which
Oh,
was
that was so great.
that
We
was
need playoff
insane.
hockey, and it
I know
sucks.
it's
It sucks that we have to wait once a year for some of the best hockey. Well, we had the Olympics, so I guess we're kind of gonna be getting multiple good hockey.
I would trade 4 nations for the All-Star game like 10 out of 10 times any time, any day of
Isn't
the
that
week.
well, okay, so I was a hater at first of the 4 nations before I saw it because I love the All-Star game. Like, I like the skills competition. I'm not gonna lie to you, I still miss it because you can take away the game itself, but I love the skills competitions. I
I
love
agree.
seeing, the shooting accuracy, and the speed, like the skate, like
Speed
all of it.
skater, yeah.
Oh man, like it's so great. And the game itself sucks, but that's what I like to watch. So I wonder if the four nations, I don't think they're going to do this, if they could maybe just incorporate some of the skills competition just to please me because like even if it's like just digital content, like it's not
Yeah.
even, filming. Like I just want to see the best going up against the best of the best in the league when it comes to like shooting accuracy. I need to know
Yeah.
that.
I'll tell you right now, the speed skating thing, like as a hockey fan, as someone who, overall appreciates athletes at the highest level, watching those guys, full speed, ripping around like a NASCAR driver around the ice one time.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know if you remember, Jordan Kyrou won it a few years ago. I don't
He
remember where it was
did.
at, and had one of the beat McDavid out and had one of the best times ever at the All-Star game. And you know, it does kind of put into consideration the level that these guys are actually at. Like, if you know hockey and appreciate it, you get it. Like, you get it, I get it. But like, you know, casual people, even people who watch a lot of hockey that may not quite understand, these guys on skates are freaks, and it is.
No, it's insane. And I could have done a really good clickbait and said, "Oh, was Jordan Kyrou a better skater than Connor McDavid?" But I'm not gonna go there. But I mean, speed-wise, maybe. Um, but we have the Olympics, and I wanna talk to you about that because for me personally, when I saw that Robert Thomas, Colton Parayko, and Jordan Binnington were all invited, to the Team Canada camp for it, that made me excited, but I also think a player that's not getting enough appreciation is Texier for France, and I know that
Mhm.
France listen, you don't have a lot of guys in the NHL and for, playing for France, um, but to me, that's a big deal because I thought Texe actually had a good season last season. I think that Doug spoke really highly of him. And I think that this is a player that's going to give you 110%. He has a lot of room to still grow. But what's your thoughts on Texier? And do you think that this is going to be a big confidence
You know,
boost for him?
I'm actually super glad you mentioned him. I think he's poised for I'll go as far as saying like a breakout, like legit. You know, he doesn't have to play. If he can play on a line that doesn't really have a lot of defensive responsibility, because look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's a all around 200-foot player. We know
Yeah,
that's not
no.
true. We do know Montgomery is going to have a lot of focus on that, no matter who you are. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you go back and look at some of his tape and look at some of the goals he has, the guy has a ridiculous amount of offensive upside. Um, and yeah, and honestly, off that point with Texier, um, if Thomas does make the team, and if he's on that team, he's just going to be dishing the puck all over the place to stars. Think about the confidence he's going to come out of that tournament with. I mean, come on. I don't want to like jump off of your main point, but that
No,
has
this
me
is
so
good.
excited.
And he's gonna finally get the recognition that he deserves on a national, you know what, a global. Wait, it just hit me. This is the Olympics. This is not even like
Yeah.
in the national media. This is global. This is
Mhm.
worldwide. We know how big hockey is around the world, and everyone's gonna watch and see how stellar of a player Robert Thomas is. I just got chills. Wow. You know what? This is actually such a big deal, and we should be celebrating this. We should be talking about it because we have 3 players on St. Louis that are invited to this camp for the Olympics for Canada. That's a big deal, and that just shows you actually how great the Blues are. We have a player in every type of position. We have a goalkeeper, a defenseman, and we have a forward. A
Mhm.
forward who is a top 12 center to NHL.com. Colton Parayko, who has been honestly the best defensive player on this team
Oh,
for a while, without a question. And
they're
then
all graded too.
it's really something special. And you know what? I need to tell you something that I heard that was a little crazy. I do crossovers with some of the other shows on this podcasting network.
Yeah. No, yep.
And somebody said I am concerned about the Blues this season because of Jordan Binnington not being emotional and reactionary, and I don't think he's as good as he used to be. So I broke down the stats still. Of course I did. I talked about his 900 percent save percentage. I don't get the forced Binnington hate, and it's forced because he is such a good goalie. He is lights out in between the pipes, and then you have these people that are just constantly trying to bash a guy that's better in net than a guy like Connor Hellebuck and I'm talking like the playoffs. But the point is that if he is your starting goalie for Team Canada,